Hey everybody, welcome into Faith in Football. My name is Neil, and we are here for a week 5 recap of some of the stuff that went on this past weekend. We're going to talk trades, we're going to talk free agent acquisition because some of your free agent pool has dried up. Right now, the only way to get good players is to trade. But before we get into all of that, as always, faith comes before football. Faith comes before anything. And remember, we try to keep God centered here at Faith in Football. So let's get into today's scripture and what we're talking about today. Matthew 25:15, the story of the talents. And I have a question before we get into this. I want you to keep in mind. Are you trading to improve or impress? Which one are you doing? See, sometimes when we trade in fantasy football, some of us get attached to the big name trade. We're going to go over one of those when we get into the football side of things, but that actually went down in one of my leagues. But when we are trading in life, are we trading to improve our life or are we trading to impress? Most of the time, when we do upgrades, we're trying to impress people. We're trying to have that new phone, whether it be iPhone, Android, whatever it is. When we upgrade in a vehicle, we're trying to impress those who see us in the vehicle. When we upgrade in a house, we're trying to get a bigger, better house, got more amenities. But here's the thing. Are all of those extras really necessary? Or are we doing it with the wrong motivation? We're going to talk today in Matthew chapter 25 from verse 15, and we're going to then jump down to verse 29. So if you have a Bible app, whether it be YouVersion or another app, I personally use YouVersion. I love this. This app is very easy to navigate and very easy to switch versions. So you can compare and contrast uh, what the versions are saying. But this talks about three servants who got multiple bags of money from their master, and these bags really don't represent they say they're money, but they don't really represent money. I'll go through that in a second. But two of the servants did well. One of the servants did not. Let's get into the verse. This is what it reads. Talking about the master. He gave 5 bags of silver to one, 2 bags of silver to another, 1 bag of silver to the last, dividing it in proportion to their abilities. He then left on his trip. Now, this is meant to represent what Jesus Christ did when he left us the Great Commission. And I want you guys to remember that God gives us each abilities depending upon our talent. Like he's built us for a reason. He's built us with certain abilities. Like I cannot perform heart surgery. I am not useful as a mechanic. I'm extremely useful in the kitchen and talking sports. So that's what I do. And I try to do it to the best of my ability. And this is the mode, the transport that I have been called, I feel I have been called to use to convey God's word to the masses. And whether it be one or many, this is what I'm doing to try to fulfill the Great Commission. And as I've said before, I try to use this as practice for real life. So when I'm going out in the world and I'm going about my day, when am able to see more opportunity now that I've been doing this and been more comfortable speaking on the kingdom. So the master gave the bags according to their in proportion to their abilities. So one of the servants got 5 bags, he turned it into 10. One servant got 2 bags, he turned it into 4. Another servant got 1 bag and he buried it in the ground. Now, you may ask, well, why didn't he do what the other servants did? He was afraid. He got scared. He looked at the master as a very harsh man. And the Bible tells us that this particular servant told the master that he knew that he harvested crops that he did not plant. Well, that's kind of what God does. He didn't plant the word in people's hearts, or we did. He worked through us to plant that word. He grew it, but he didn't plant it. We did. That's what he used us for. So when the master came back, just as Jesus will come back, and the servants stood before the master, just as we will, he was like, "What did you do with what I gave you?" And the one who had 5 told him he got 10. He was like, "Well done, that good and faithful servant. Because you were faithful in little, you will be rewarded with much." The same thing with the other one that had the 2 bags. Now, the one that had the 1 bag was like, "Hey, I know you're a hard dude. I know that, you know, you didn't plant the other money, you didn't invest the other money, but you're reaping the reward, and here's your money." Like, he didn't lose it, but he didn't do anything with it. So, my question to you today is, what are you doing with what God gave you? God gave you a talent. God gave you the ability to go do certain things in a certain area. That's your area. That's your calling. So where are you and what are you doing with what God gave you? You don't have to answer me. You don't have to answer your spouse, you know, your significant other, wherever you are. You don't have to answer anyone but yourself. So as we go about our day to day, I want you guys to remember that we are we have the abilities. God has blessed us with specific abilities tailor-made to us. And rather than go and try to impress others, pardon me, it's not sponsor time just yet. It's kind of early in the morning right now, so I'm just getting up, so I got a little, something through. But God's put us in specific places. He's given us specific abilities to do a specific task. Are you fulfilling that task, or are you too worried about what the world says about you, how the world will view you? Are you trying to impress the wrong people? See, the third servant was trying to impress the master rather than improve his holdings. So, what are we doing today? Are we trying to impress the world? Are we trying to impress those around us? Are we trying to have the bigger car or the better car or the bigger house or, more money and a better job and all this other stuff? Or are we trying to improve in God's eyes? Because his eyes are the only ones that matter. So I hope that was eye-opening, if nothing else. Um, so good morning. It's about 7:45. I'm a little bit late on doing today's episode. I had a double yesterday at work, so I didn't really get in time to properly do this episode. So I wanted to make sure that we had time and that I had the ability, see the ability. to do this proper. I was also trying to wait for the injury report, the official injury report to come out. I've compiled one myself, but I'll go ahead and review it on Thursday's episode as well because we'll have a lot more information. But there were some injuries this weekend that I want to go over. But before we do that, always got to get to my sponsors. Before I get to the sponsors, I do want to thank you guys for tuning in and thank you for sitting here with me and learning the word, such as it is that I present to you. I hope that you get something out of it. I hope that it carries with you through the day. That is my prayer for you. And if you have prayer requests, if you are going through a rough time, please, down the bottom, subscribe, like, share, drop me a comment, let me know what you're going through. Because I'm not just here for fantasy football, I'm also here for spiritual walk. So, yes, I'm just a layman like you, who just happens to have a heart for service and a calling to help others. So that's what I'm here for. But anyway, took the sip. It's time to get into the sponsors. And of course, our first one up is my longest sponsor. That's Zero Rotisserie Grill. I'm hoping for sometime this week to get into the construction area with Leonard Louvier, who is the general manager of the Lafayette location. So kind of give you guys a behind the scenes look at it. They are doing amazing work down there, and they're still open even though they're under construction. So when you drive by 235 Ducey Road in Lafayette, Louisiana, off of Johnson Street, you might think that they're closed, but they're not. Don't let the construction fool you. They are still kicking out some amazing food. And if you go down there and you mention Faith in Football, pick up your free appetizer on me from them for free for you. Okay? Whatever you want to do. Look, some of us, I know it's coming up to the holiday season, so the diets kind of fall by the wayside. But if you want to kind of have a little cheat code to it, we're doing some deep fried vegetables. Yes, you can have your veggies and you can have them deep fried. It's a Kung Pao cauliflower. It is amazing. It's got a little kick to it, but don't let that scare you off. It is delicious. Go down there and check it out for free from me. Okay. Also, if you want the Thai ribs that everybody's talking about, go down there. They have either a 6 bone or a three or a 4 bone appetizer that you can get. You want to do something a little shareable for the table because you get one free per table. So make sure you choose wisely. You can get the hummus. The hummus is great shareable. Or if you want a little shrimp, they got you there too. You can get again a 6 count Asian almond shrimp or a 3 count Asian almond shrimp. And remember, make sure you mention you heard them from Faith and Football and get it for free. I mean, hey, why pay for something when it's free, right? And speaking of free, you can also go down to Keller's Bakery in Youngsville at uh, at 627 Lafayette Street in Youngsville. Go down there to see my boy Dusty Shores. Mention Faith in Football, and he will hand you 2 free cookies, no purchase necessary. I mean, how great of a deal is that? Look, if you're in the Youngsville area anyway, you might as well stop by Keller's, walk in, say, "Hey, I want my 2 free cookies. I heard about you guys from Faith in Football." And while you're down there, maybe you got to get together plan for Thursday night football, Sunday night football, Monday night football, whatever your get together is. You can get a king cake in your team colors. And yes, they will even do Dallas. I'm not sure what the price difference is, but they will do Dallas. They are Saints fans down there, so be careful. But go down there and check out my boy Dusty, 627 Lafayette Street, Youngsville, Louisiana, and mention Faith and Football. Get you 2 free cookies, okay? Also, if you're downtown Lafayette, stop by 603 Jefferson Street inside of Gordon Square, and you can go check out Ami's Grocery. Ami's is kicking out some amazing stuff out of a very small kitchen. Very big flavors, very small kitchen. Go down there and check them out. You'll see the chalkboard uh, the little chalkboard triangle out front. It's got their menu. It changes daily, so make sure you go down there and check them out. Also, if you're in the area and maybe you forgot something for dinner, maybe you're just tired of thinking about dinner, just go in there, 603 Jefferson Street, inside of Gordon Squares, Omni's Groceries. They have family meals pre-prepared for you. All you gotta do is stick them in the oven. No muss, no fuss. They're already there, and they are an amazing supporter of the local economy. They have over 200 different local items from over 50 local vendors. Everything from farm fresh eggs to beef jerky to freeze-dried candy, all locally done. Go down there and check them out. And you guys might have noticed my hat sitting back here. That's because I went and saw my boy Nick Reed down at 135A Arnold Boulevard in C. Wolf Barbershop. You want to find him? Go on Booksy, hashtag not a sponsor, but go on Booksy and type in Nick Reed and book your appointment today. He does amazing work and he won't let you out the chair until every hair is right where it's supposed to be, whether that's on your head or on the floor, because it needs to go. So, you guys want to look a little cleaner right now? Maybe you got some stuff coming up for the holidays. Go down there and check out my boy Nick, and he will hook you up. Okay? So, let's get into today's episode of the football side of Faith and Football. We're talking trades, we're talking injuries. We'll go ahead and go through the injuries real quick. We'll run through first. Um, First of all, shout out to my boys Washington. I did not think that you guys were going to pull off this win against the Chargers in such just not dramatic fashion. Just they owned the second, third, and fourth quarter after letting uh, the Chargers rattle off 10 points in the first quarter. I did not like this game for the Washington. I've watched the Chargers. I've got vested interest in Mario Hampton, so that's why this news right here kind of hits a little close to home. He is on a couple of my teams, but Mario Hampton maybe dealing with a high ankle sprain, so this is something to keep an eye on. And if you're an Mario Hampton owner like myself, you definitely want to check out the waiver wire because we're going to be going over two guys who are definite pickups that you need to have on your roster. Next guy, and I feel for this dude because even though he's not on our team anymore, he was an integral part uh, of the offense for Washington, and that is Antonio Gibson, torn ACL. He is probably done for the year. And that throws TreVeyon Henderson into question about how much work he's actually going to get because for whatever reason, they want us to keep going to Rhamondre Stevenson, giving him the work, even though apparently he's got fumbleitis. He fumbled in this last game. He fumbled a couple of times in the game before. However, he did get the touches and he did get the touchdowns. So what they're doing in New England, I have no idea. Um, if you have TreVeyon Henderson, maybe you can move him for somebody who is really high on him, especially with this news of Antonio Gibson, where the work will be more concentrated to him and Stevenson on the hope that Henderson can start getting the bulk of the work. Next up, now this is a big one. I have um, Mbuka, the wide receiver from Tampa Bay, and calm down. He's not on this section of the show, but his teammate Bucky Irving is. Bucky Irving dealing with a shoulder and a foot injury. We're told that the shoulder injury is actually what is keeping him out. The foot injury he could play through, which makes really no sense to me. So I'm hoping for some clarification in the next couple of days about his injury, his list of injuries that he's dealing with. So moving forward, is it Sean Tucker? Is it somebody else? We don't know. Um, what we do know is that Mbuka is absolutely balling out. So if you have Mbuka, congratulations, you are doing amazing right now. Um, Next up, this team is almost getting to the level of the San Francisco 49ers with all of their injuries. This is the New York Giants. Uh, I'm sorry, I told you guys I'm in like six leagues, so I'm getting a bunch of people going through and making offers and changes and stuff early this morning. But Darius Slayton is dealing with a hamstring injury. This is on top of losing Malik Neighbors for the remainder of the season. I actually had a trade offer to another team. I have Scadaboo, um, Cam Scadaboo for the New York Giants, rookie running back, absolutely sensational. Love the way this dude runs. He would run through a brick wall, smile, and run through another one. Okay, I love this dude's style of play. Old school, just tough football. Um, but with Slayton's hamstring injury, this throws Wan'Dale Robinson farther up the board. It also throws Jalen Hyatt. If you're looking for some flex-worthy starters, Jalen Hyatt has been getting some work as well. So get some guys to keep an eye on. Um, in Thursday's episode, when we talk about start sits. I'm also going to reiterate the injuries and also reiterate some guys that you need to keep an eye on and maybe add that are a little farther down the depth chart. Now, of course, we know the CD Lamb is gone for at least another week, um, and we'll see how that falls. But if you have George Pickens, Pickens has been doing absolutely phenomenal in the absence of CD Lamb. So maybe if you keep an eye on CD's health, see when he's coming back, maybe you can flip Pickens. Maybe you want to hold on to him. It kind of depends on the makeup of your squad and what you need. Remember, if you have the assets, just like the servants did in the Bible, in Matthew in our scripture, uh, use those assets wisely. Okay, sometimes you don't need to hold on to them. Sometimes you can let them go and get more back than what you started with. You see the correlation? The servant that had five got 10. The owner who had George Pickens got, a running back, wide receiver, combo, stuff like that. Maybe you got a upgraded tight end, an upgraded running back, upgraded quarterback, whatever the case may be. Use those assets wisely. Um, Another guy that got dinged up, Braylon Allen. We're not exactly sure how long he's going to be out, but as long as he is out, there's going to be more work for Breece Hall with the Jets. But Isaiah Davis is a name that you need to keep an eye on. Maybe throw him on if you have room. And I know it's hard right now with the injuries, and you need to fill your roster with usable guys. But Isaiah Davis has been getting work, and God forbid, if something happened to Breece Hall while Braylon Allen is down, then Isaiah Davis is the guy who's going to step up and take over in that backfield. Now, the big one that people were dealing with this past weekend was the Lamar Jackson hamstring injury. Now, as I said, Thursday's episode will have a little more information for you. Um, there'll be a couple more practices between now and then, but as he's out, Cooper Rush is filling in. We saw what Cooper Rush was doing with Dallas. I caution you about putting that expectation in this environment because the O line for the Ravens is not the O line for Dallas. Okay. Dallas, at the time that Cooper Rush was doing this, had a much better O line than the Ravens do right now. If the Ravens had a decent O-line like the Cowboys did, then maybe Lamar doesn't get hurt. Maybe Derrick Henry does do a lot more than what he's been doing, which that in and of itself I can't explain. Um, but I did just on a personal note, one of the trades that I pulled earlier this week, right before game time, uh, pulled it late uh, Saturday night, early Sunday morning. It went through was Derrick Henry, Darren Waller, and Darnell Mooney for Devon Achane. Um, and let's see who else was it? Sorry, guys, I am drawing a blank. Oh, and I don't even know why I blanked on this one. Chris Olave. So Olave and A-Chain for Waller, Henry, and Darnell Mooney. Now look, Darnell Mooney was a throw-in because I needed some roster space. Um, the main cog in this was unloading Derrick Henry for Devon Achane. Now, Achane, especially with Tyreek Hill being gone for the season and word coming out that he will be cut at the end of the season by Miami, and then on the promise that Darren Waller would continue to do what he's doing, um, that's what got this done. Now, I actually traded him to a team that already had three tight ends. So the draw of Darren Waller, if you own Darren Waller and you're benefiting from the absence of Tyreek Hill in this passing attack and benefiting from Darren Waller's red zone proficiency, then by all means hold on to him. But if you picked up Waller and 9 times out of 10, you already have a tight end. Maybe you're the Kittle manager who was just limping by at with replacement tight ends and you picked up Waller. That's great. You're expected to get Kittle back week 6, 7. So like this week, maybe next, something like that. If you still believe in George Kittle, then by all means use Waller to please get something. Okay. Now we have to remember his age. Okay. And the fact that, yes, he was getting eased in, but he did have like a year off of football and he's 33. So, like, not everybody's Travis Kelce and can go that long and is on that great of a team. But maybe Darren Waller is just going to have a magical season and be worth holding on to. Don't know. But I personally have Trey McBride, and just the name cachet alone with McBride can get me a haul if I need it. But I didn't want to risk losing out on the ability to ditch Derrick Henry, who's not doing that great, for Devon Achane. So I did get a first round running back for you, first round running back plus a number one wide receiver on his team. And even though Olave is just, he'll give you 12 to 15 points. That's great. That's all I want. That's all I need right now. So I'm cool with that. Now, one trade that happened prior to this week's um, action that I did want to highlight because it shows the ability to, on both sides, to not just trade for need, but improve their team. It was my boy D Money. And if you guys have followed the show for a while, you've seen D Money on here before. He was actually on this earlier this season, and he's been on before. A good friend of mine, um, but he had Jamar Chase. I know he was extremely hurt and disappointed when Joe Burrow went down and Chase just fell in the toilet. Okay, so he traded Jamar Chase and Jalen Warren, who is dinged up, for Zay Flowers and Jalen Hurts. Now, for whatever reason, the Hurts manager did not want Jalen Hurts. Why, I don't know. Now, we all saw the blow up game that Jamar Chase had this week. Now, you might look at this trade and go, well, he had an amazing week. He definitely won this trade getting Jamar Chase, getting the 101 for Zay Flowers and Jalen Hurts. Like, Hurts is yeah, he's got upside in touchdowns, but their passing attack's been horrible. However, news also came out, and I didn't cover this on the injury part for this specific reason. It's come out that Saquon Barkley has been dealing with a nagging injury. So if they're limiting Saquon and they're going to up the passing in Philly, having Jalen Hurts definitely helps. And look, Chase still is a baller. He still is production, but there's not going to be a rebirth of Joe Burrow in Cincy with Jake Browning. This is not happening. That's not going to come to fruition. Can Browning support him now and then? Yes. However, we've seen what happens when they go up against really good defenses. Now, rest of season, Cincy has one of the softest schedules for wide receivers. So is there light at the end of the tunnel for this? Yes. Are you still taking a shot and a chance and a risk on having Chase and being that dependent on him? Of course. Zay Flowers, with Derrick Henry not performing, with Cooper Rush being in, this could be a time for Zay to shine. So, this trade is one of the most balanced ones that I've seen. Now, this manager taking Warren could take on the risk of Warren. The main cog here was having Chase for Hurts, unloading one of his multiple quarterbacks that he was carrying, unloading a middle of the road wide receiver for one of the top guys in the game. Because, hey, let's face it, Zay Flowers is no Jamar Chase, and Flowers does not have the production that Chase can have. So I want to highlight that, and my boy D Money giving him a shout out here on the show. Now, let's talk free agents because, look, depending upon what league you're in, this can be a very hard time to trade. So you got to look to other places for the come up for players. So let's talk quarterback. Some guys that might be on your free agent list. Look, some guys might not have been happy, might not be able to hold Dak Prescott through this time, but check and make sure that he hasn't been dropped. One guy who may not be on rosters, he's on Sleeper, he's 59% rostered right now. Dak's 86% rostered, so there are a couple of leagues out there without him. So check your waiver wire, make sure that nobody glossed over him, or maybe they're just turned off by the Cowboys, which can't blame them. But Matthew Stafford, which is ironic because in a lot of places he is the number one quarterback in the fantasy right now. So Matt Stafford could be on your roster. He is 59% rostered. A guy last year that everybody was just shocked was doing this well, is doing well again in a different city, a different team with Seattle, and that's Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold, 35% roster. Guys, if y'all need quarterback help, Sam Darnold, you could do worse than Sam Darnold, okay? Um, Now with Matt Stafford, especially this week, they're going to be facing Baltimore, so he is definitely in my starting lineup. So I know it's hard to fathom, especially for me, being from around the metropolitan areas where I grew up. Um, Seeing Baltimore's defense actually be something that you can target to want to play against. It used to be like you didn't want to see Baltimore on the schedule. It was just going to be a really tough matchup. Now it's like a cupcake matchup, which is sad, but take advantage of it while it lasts, because I know that that ownership and that coaching staff will be able to get, maybe if not this year, next year, a revamp on that defense. Plus the fact that I think they're missing like seven starters on defense due to injury. So something to keep an eye on. Remember, guys, fantasy football is not just the offensive side of the ball. You got to look at the defensive side of the ball and be aware of the injuries on teams that you're going to be playing, because if their top cornerback is down, and they've usually been a shutdown secondary, and you don't want to start your wide receiver against them, if they have injury in that area, you definitely want to start your wide receiver against them, because if the backup was good enough to be a starter, he'd be a starter. So, um, but yeah, Sam Darnold, they've got Jacksonville coming up, and I know Jacksonville is a really good defense this year, but they did still, even though they beat KC last night, I know I was shocked too. 28-31. Mahomes still had a killer game for fantasy. So, if this can turn into a shootout, then Sam Darnold's definitely got the weapons with JSN and Charbonnet out of the backfield, Ken Walker out of the backfield, AJ Barner at tight end. He's got the weapons to do some damage, and he's still wanting to prove everybody wrong. So you got that motivation going for him too. At running back, I mentioned before that Omarion Hampton went down. So two guys that you guys want to be aware of. Hassan Haskins, and some of y'all might remember him from his days in Tennessee behind Derrick Henry. Um, but also, if you remember him from college, he was a Michigan boy with Harbaugh. So Harbaugh is now in LA with the Chargers, and he's got his boy Haskins. So between Haskins and Kamani Vidal, look, I'm taking Haskins. This is the guy that I want on my squad if I'm in need of a running back. So even maybe you just have room on your roster. This is where you start playing blocking. This is when you start doing strategy. Okay, we're fixing to be 6 weeks into the season. We're a month and a half in, and guys are hurting. So if you have, maybe the Mario Hampton manager has been doing really, really well, but with the loss of Mario Hampton, he's going to be scrambling. Now he's going to want to get the guy who's going to replace him so that he can stay in the same offense and get maybe three-quarters production of what Hampton's been doing, which is really, really good. So one strategy that I employ if I have room on my roster, and I don't cut off my nose to spite my face type thing, but if I've got the room, why not block your opponent from getting a guy that they're going to need? You can always go to him and go, hey, I got your boy Haskins. You got Hampton. He's out. He's hurt. You want Haskins? Give me something for him. This is where you're gonna up your investment, because whatever you're paying for Haskins, you can make up for in trade value. Okay. So my advice is Haskins. He is currently 2.1% rostered, and Kamada Vidal is not owned anywhere. So after this week, those things are definitely going to change. Um, Now I'll mention my boy Bill Krusky with Washington had an absolutely breakout game. I'm currently trying to work a trade for him. I'll let you know Thursday if it's gone through or not. But he is 73% rostered, so he's going to be a little harder to find. Rico Dowdle, look, if he's still out there, he's 70% rostered in sleeper leagues. Um, Michael Carter, 58% rostered. He's filling in because the Arizona Cardinals backfield is just decimated right now. Um, but a guy that you definitely want to target, Brashad Smith, 16% rostered. Um, he's getting a little more work. Now, this is the guy you might have to wait on um, to get, a little bit more than what we're used to. This is a speedy guy. It says here that he ran a 4.39 in the 40-yard dash. So, look, I watched this dude play, and I'm telling you right now, this dude's got juice. So, if we can get Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco to sit down and hush, then Brashard Smith can actually do some damage here. Um, let's see, wide receiver wise. Now, Ryan Flournoy was a one-off. Please don't put any money on that. Kendrick Bourne, if you guys want to go out, he had an absolutely blow-up game, so make sure you're checking him out. Tyquan Thornton, if he's still out there on your roster, remember we do have Rashid Rice coming back and a whole litany of guys. Xavier Worthy did get hurt, so maybe Tyquan Thornton can carry a little bit more value. He's currently 22% rostered in sleeper leagues. Um, Tight end wise, AJ Barner is a name that you guys need to be aware of, along with Mason Taylor, the rookie tight end with the Jets. He is 19% rostered. AJ Barner, 3% rostered. So if you guys are hurting at tight end, then maybe go pick those guys up. Jake Tonges, he is 7.9% rostered. So go out and check these guys out on your waiver wire and see if they're still available. These guys are guys, Mason Taylor especially, may not be having the splash that Darren Waller is, but he's definitely filling in well for the, well, I'm sorry. Jake Tonges is filling in well for George Kittle, but Mason Taylor is slowly having an absolutely amazing rookie season. So go check him out. So those are some trades strategies that you might want to use. Some trade insight as to what's been happening in my league and some free agent acquisitions that you guys can go out on the waiver wire and check out. So, guys, Thursday's episode, remember, start sits. We'll go a little more in depth in injuries, and we'll have a great word from the Word of God for you. So until next time, I hope you guys have an absolutely amazing week. Good luck on the waiver wire. Good luck on your acquisitions. If you need some help, down the bottom, subscribe, like, share, and drop me a comment. Let me know what you're dealing with, and I'll give you a hand the best I can. So, you guys have a good one. God bless. And remember, football is good, but God is greater. We'll see you guys next time on Faith and Football.